Okay, gentlemen. I'm going to try to make a concerted effort to get more of my recaps past and present out. And in keeping with that, I'm going to try to make sure to get them out in a timely manner after my sessions. So this is my Unleash session for October the 2nd, 2022. And all right, so we pick up the last place I left off is that um, Kyrie, one of the little students of the Oriana Scout Troop, the first one I met in the Seaside Village, she and Callum are heading out, leaving the village to begin physical training. So this is the first session that Callum has done since Railroad. So I'm getting a bit of shift information, and also how the things involving the movie fit into stuff. So um, in the shift, Kyrie and I trained. Um, Val eventually joined in. Val is another one of the members of the Seaside. I'm not the Seaside. She's from Seaside Village, but from the little scout troop. And Val and I exchanged some techniques. She's a good fighter. She's just different. Um, Eventually the entirety of the entire Little Sprout class, if I was calling them troop, Little Sprout class all showed up and all joined into the training. So it's funny. It's like massive, probably like 7'6" Callum, big black skin Callum is out here with like kids that probably range from like I don't know like 5 to like 13 out here. But but it was good training. We eventually had lunch, and then um Oriana and I like that training session ended, and then I sat down with Oriana and we had a basically another one of these meditation sessions, and we were exploring when Carrot opened up Callum's mind gate. That's several sessions ago. It's funny, like all in all, it's not that long ago. It's probably like maybe 2 months ago in Callum's game, but each session I get so much information and learn so much more. So much is going on. It's like it feels like years ago. So and also it's been years, probably a fake world, but we explored the mind gate, and um, during the exploration of the mind gate, that's when Callum has this memory. It's like um, it's weird. It's like so it's not a memory in the sense where I remember it happening, but it's like a very it's like a spiritual vision almost of the events of the Real World Con 2022 Real Unleashed movie. So I learned all of that, but I understand. So basically, Callum remembers everything that happened from the point that we enter into the psychic plane, and the psychic plane is that place where we're standing around in that knee deep water in that mind space. That's the psychic plane. That's where you go before you enter in to deeper spiritual realms. Um, so I remember everything from us going in there, and then up until when basically the movie ends. I don't remember anything about like any of that stuff with no. Sorry, I don't remember any of that stuff like prior to that, like us all popping up at the class talking about those or the swords almost destroying the village. None of that stuff Callum remembers. So um, from there we I come out of the dream state, and or I end up in this dream state, and I can see that there's a bunch of injured people all around me. Now I'm still in the psychic plane, so I'm still standing in the knee deep water in kind of like a with a void around me other than the water. and then the vision fades out in an instant. And it's interesting. It's like, so it's like when that happens, it's like I'll see the people around me all hurt, and then the vision will fade, and then I don't remember that anymore. The only thing I remember is that I've been here in the psychic plane for a long time, um, and that I've been doing something with Oriana, like a kind of, I guess almost like a deja vu, but I don't remember the thing that Callum just saw with the hurt people. So Oriana, um, she pulled me out of that vision I was having back into the spirit, into the psychic plane, and she said, "We're going to have to do this very carefully." Um, actually, I should fix that. Um, it feels like we've done this thousands of times. Stuff when you get into the psychic plane, and especially when you get deeper into like the wellspring, which is kind of like your internal spiritual realm. Like stuff gets weird and trippy. Like you can be in here like spending like months doing something and come out and it be an hour. It's a weird kind of place, but it feels like we've done this thousands of times. I told Oriana that something was wrong, and she smiled at me. So it's like I couldn't remember the specifics about the children being hurt, but I could get like a feeling that something wasn't right. So she smiled at me. She said, "We are here to control. The rush can be consuming." I didn't really know what that meant. And while we were talking, I ended up growing by several feet, and this indigo aura appeared around me. Um, After a moment of like a type of like, well, I had grown, and I was trying to parse out for a second if she shrunk or if I grew. And sometime during all of this, the other kids from the I'm gonna mess up the name again, from the Little Sprout class, the other kids from the Little Sprout class, were there sitting at their various desks that they occupy when they're actually in class, and they were asleep. So all of them were small like her. So it seemed like I grew, and um, like I grew to this like size, and then um, hold up, I have a moment of vertigo, and the next thing I know, I'm back at the same size. Again, weird psychic plane stuff. So Oriana, she puts her hand on my shoulder to calm me. I can't remember the kids being hurt. Um, I just have a feeling, and since I don't remember the kids being hurt, so it's, oh, I'm sorry, that came back again. I saw a flash again of the hurt kids, and I started to get anxious and concerned. Then I didn't remember it anymore. And she came over and put her hand on her shoulder to calm me down. And I think she kind of made it so I didn't remember it. But I still had that feeling like something was wrong. So from Callum's perspective, it was like it was like she put her hand on her shoulder to calm me, but that didn't work because I still felt like something was wrong. Tamir knows that when she put her hand on my shoulder, she made it so that I forgot about the children and I was no longer getting that anxiety. So she said, "It's okay, Callum. We'll get through this." Um, she tells me that I need to remain calm and really stresses the importance of it. So I start to think about my time with Bastion. Bastion is one of the other Legion that Callum is melded with. Callum is melded with two other Legion, Lord Annihilus and almost said Balance and Bastion. Um, I've never met Lord Annihilus. Well, I'm sorry, that's going to be confusing. Callum can travel through the psychic plane into his own spiritual wellspring, which is like his internal spiritual realm, and then I can interact with things like within my being, and when doing that, I can conceivably interact with Lord Annihilus and Bastion in the wellspring. I have never actually seen Lord Annihilus. I know where he is, but I always feel like he's resting and I shouldn't disturb him. Bastion, though, I've gone there and spent years with him doing stuff. I've built things with him. We've built homes together, hung out. We There's things in here where you can do different things to try to build different abilities and stuff like that. And like the way it's represented is like we're going out in space to like grab these rocks and push them into the system, and we have done that until we grew big salt and pepper beards and stuff. Like like we're pretty close. So I think about the time I had with him, building things, spending time together, drinking beer and everything. I think about uh, Carradwin. When Carradwin first came to train Callum, and like the things I was learning when she opened my mind gate and how it was opening up my perspective, and I learned the ability to do like flight based off of my spiritual energy, and basically that's just like the unassisted flight. When Callum flies using his regular powers, it's like Iron Man boot jet hand jet flight. But it's just instead of like rocket fire, it's my energy coming out. But when you fly with your spiritual energy, now you're flying more like Superman, Goku, all that stuff. Um, so I thought about that. And While I was thinking about Bastion, oh, the reason I jumped to Carrot is because while I was thinking about Bastion, I became concerned about the fact that when my abilities were sealed away from the remember from the stuff from the movie, I didn't recount the events of the movie, but like that binding happened. So I thought about the fact that his a bit like that might have negatively affected him. I was starting to get anxious, so then I shifted over to thinking about Carrotwood. But I eventually sense a familiar presence enter the psychic plane, and it's my boy Anthem. So Anthem is a part of Callum's unit, and remember, it's important to remember that Legion, um, modern Legion, are born and all of that kind of stuff. Like we're born, we have mothers, fathers, everything like that. But um, like we're not that close to our like birth families. Our families are mainly our military units. It's kind of like some of those ancient military units where it's like you come together in this unit and you're like brothers, like you're there for life. It's like a fraternity. Or actually I would say it's deeper than that, honestly. Like those people are closer to Callum than his mom is. Like his mom is just this kind of figure. Sorry, I know it's disgusting. This figure he respects and everything, and knows that he comes from and stuff like that. But his people, who are really his family or his unit, his closest friend is Hector, who is also known as Sovereign. His second closest brother after that would be Anthem, also known as Carmine. So excuse me a second. I'm sorry about that. I didn't want to break the flow of the video, DM. But anyway, so um, Anthem appears inside the psychic plane, which is super weird. Now, interesting thing about Anthem is that he has this like, I guess you'd call it an ability where when he's around, things just tend to go better. So if we have him on our side, like well, he's always on our side, but if we have him out there on a mission, our chances of success dramatically go up. Things are just better. You feel better when he's around. He's just like he's just awesome. But I've never known him to be familiar with anything like this. So when he's in here, the water begins to interact, um, like with him, which is a little weird because the water typically just kind of stays there. Um, and Oriana, who the entire time, a lot of times when I see Oriana either in the psychic plane or the spiritual wellspring, she is like kind of like half corporeal, looks like maybe a little bit like a specter, like she could conceivably go through a wall, but then she just suddenly becomes corporeal. And the kids wake up. The kids have been around when they're not like flashes of them, flashes of me having visions of them hurt. They're just sitting there asleep at their desks, and now they wake up. Anthem, Anthem can see the kids, and Oriana's freaking out. But it's more like she's stunned, and about what Anthem is able to do here than she is concerned. And I feel perfectly fine. Now, with Anthem here, it's way easier for me to get in calm states, shake off anxiety. I'm just good. It's something to pop up. It's, oh man, that sucks. No, no, I'm good again. So um, while we're standing here, now remember, it's just water and like a void. So just imagine almost like you're in space, but there's no stars, and you're standing in knee deep water. Just goes as far as the eye can see in every direction, and then all of a sudden, color starts to seep in. I blink a couple of times, and we're like back in the classroom. Um, but the interesting thing is, like, so it's like we're in the classroom, but it's like I can see every one of the kids from the Sprout class, all six of them, Oriana, and um and myself and Anthem are all there sitting at like desks unconscious. Um but then separate from that, like psychic or spiritual versions of Oriana, Anthem, and Callum are standing here in the room. Well, actually, and the kids too. So everybody in this room has a double. So Anthem, it's interesting. It's like he has this kind of thing where he's like he's real casual about being here, and at the same time, he's casual. Like he's also acting like he is outside of his element, and then but then at the same time, like he knows exactly what to do to fix things. It's an interesting kind of like dichotomy. So he starts like going over and like he'll grab one of the kids and just put them back in their bodies. And he just and I'm asking Oriana throughout the process because I trust Anthem, but at the same time, he like I trust him in a sense like of not to betray me or come here to hurt us. But I don't know. I don't necessarily know if he knows what he's doing here. And Oriana, like she's just staring wide eyed. I'm like, Oriana, is everything okay? And when she does break out of that, what she tells me is that she knows he's here to help, and she believes what he's doing is a good thing. She's just shocked that he can do any of it. So I'm like, okay, all right. Well, if you're confident he's not hurting anything, I trust him. I'm good then. So he eventually puts everyone inside their bodies. That includes Oriana. And then when that happens, he says, like, I think he says, I'm going to take Callum for a second and we'll come back. Then we just go back to the psychic plane. So now we're back in the water. And he asked me, he said, all right, he's all right, what's going on here? And I get a little more context about what's going on outside. So basically, um, I've been here for like a month. Like I was supposed to come here and seek out a Roku and answers and stuff, and spend maybe a couple days out here. I've been here for a month, and what happened is, when Oriana took me into this like psychic into the psychic realm, into the wellspring and stuff like that, I got stuck, and there was a fear that um bringing me out would kill everyone in the area, possibly destroy the village. Oh, also, I forgot to mention this. While all this was happening, I would say just prior to Anthem showing up, this this like not indigo, this fiery space looking, or imagine almost how eternity looks, but but instead of it being like just like a stable form, it's like flames and everything, and like Callum's eyes are all bright. I was in that form for like probably half the stuff I was explaining. Um, so she was afraid. A bunch of people were that I would kill the people trying to bring them out, but I was stuck and couldn't get out. So she had been trying to bring me out, and eventually they called in help, which was Anthem. So like that's the context he gives me. Um, I tell him about basically the stuff that happened in the movie as it pertained to the jungle world. I tell him about Fenris. That's the that's like the wolf god creature. What? Oh, it's a god, but the wolf like elder creature who like basically tore out Callum's guts and binded his talents and abilities and stuff. So he um he was interested in all that. We were exchanging notes, and then he was kind of feeling around, and he found this kind of like it was like this weird box of nothing, or like yeah, it looked like it was nothing at first, and then as he dug his hands into it, it was like a black void thing, and I was a little concerned about it. It's like, all right, bro, like what are you doing? I think I think this will be good. Like this will be like basically this is the next thing to do. All right, man, I trust you. So we pull it open, and it rips an opening to the portal, and I'm like, whoa, to the portal to the jungle world. I step back because I'm like, I am not interested in encountering Fenris again, at least not this soon. And we sat there and we talked about it for a bit, and eventually I just say, it looks like the only way out is through. Let's go. So we try to go in at the same time. I get repelled. He goes right in. So then we're standing on the other side of the portal. He can't come out. So we're like, and we can't hear each other. So we're trying to pantomime different stuff. And eventually, um, he just decides to go. Yeah, I tell him to be careful, and I'm going to wait for him. So I end up waiting a long time, and he eventually comes back. He seems cool. So his experience was different because he's from a different clan. He ended up going to the interacting with the progenitor of of his clan, the Razarai, whose name was Raziel. This is the guy who binds around the path of rage, and um, so Raziel was explaining to him that well, first of all, Anthem understands binding now, which is cool. Because when I was explaining it, I was like, giving him like a bit of a rundown, and I'll go over this stuff because like some just notes that I got from the DM and stuff like that, I didn't go into. I just jumped into the play by play, but I'll maybe do that in another video. Um, he understands binding now, and he was talking about what he learned from Raziel. So Raziel was talking to him about Fenris. So basically, it's like Raziel is the elder werewolf of the jungle world that Anthem interacted with. Fenris is the elder wolf that Callum and the rest of like the PCs interacted with. So he was saying that he was explaining that Raziel doesn't look at Fenris fondly, and he believes that Fenris may have been corrupted. So something may have happened to him, like in the real world, that makes his projection here inside this portal like act like this. So like so finding him outside of this jungle portal, he may be different, which I thought was interesting. So like Anthem, like I said, understands the binding now, and like I look to see if he looks different. Instantly, I can see there's like this fierce red and black aura coming from him. It's like red and black flames. So I go, okay, cool. Um, so from there, we figure out that he explains to me that I have to basically connect with this power, like connect with this power, and then um it was the way it came off. It seemed like it was flare up the power in a certain way and then control it. But the flare up could potentially be dangerous. So, um, messing with stuff in the spiritual plane or in the psychic plane can be somewhat dangerous. Um, Messing with stuff on the in the spiritual wellspring can be very dangerous. Um, but the spiritual wellspring does have pockets of a lot of space in there. So I'm like, I'm gonna go into the spiritual wellspring. We separate, go our own directions because he has to figure his own way out. So we separate from there. So, all right, brother, I'll see you on the other side. Sorry if I sound weird because I'm still sick. So we I enter the wellspring, and what I notice is inside the spring now, everything is much closer and more organized. Typically when I come in here, like it's like going into space, in each of the different, it's like different stars and stuff like that. And each of these stars are like different like abilities and stuff like that I have. And they're like typically separated by like millions or hundreds of millions of light years and stuff like that. But now they're like all like walking distance from each other, which is super weird. But it doesn't feel like a negative thing. It feels like they're more organized. So uh I sense out for Bastion to try to get an like idea of how he's doing since the binding happened, just hoping it didn't hurt him, and he popped up. So he popped up and he seemed perfectly fine, but he was explaining that he could sense the difference in terms of like it seemed like he was more concerned about what the binding might have been doing to me. And I was telling him I was fine, but I was going to try something, and I wanted to make sure that it wouldn't damage anything that we have here or him. So I wheeled him back to safety to his area. It's like a planet with like a moon around it. So um, my indigo energy, I can see. Oh, I fly and fly and fly until I get to this remote place where it feels safe. Nothing really around, nothing to destroy. So I can see that with the indigo, like, I'm sorry, with the fiery looking eternity kind of aura around me, there's a core of indigo fire that has like sparks of silver and gold in it. And I'm focusing on that power. And as I'm doing so, it's like, I figure I have to grow the power to a certain size and then draw it into myself. So it's like I take the power kind of from me and hold it out, and it's like the size of a baseball, and I keep growing it and growing it and growing it. Eventually, it gets to like the size of a basketball, size of like, like a mountain, the size of like like a moon, a planet, and eventually it's the size of a star. And then um, I end up growing to the size of a star, and the power shrinks to what I used to be before. Trippy spiritual wellspring nonsense. And once it's in that state, I feel like I can absorb it. I draw it in. And after merging with the energy, I grow to the size of a galaxy, and the energy washes over everything inside the wellspring. And then I wake up. So when I wake up, nobody is in the class. It's just me. Nobody else is in the class except for Callum and Anthem. So we're looking at each other. We both made it back. It seems like Anthem made it back a little bit before I did. And um, we seem different. I can already tell that I feel much stronger, but in a different kind of way. So it's like I'm much more physically capable. My senses are more open and everything like that. But I don't have access to any of my energy projection abilities and stuff like that. Any of my cool auras, healing, making people feel better with auras and stuff. All that is binded. So um I can sense that now. I feel like I'm about 3 times what Carradwin was, which is crazy. So just to put it into perspective, I think in the movie, when before we went into the spiritual realm, I think when we were relating Rod to Cameron, who seemed like he was clearly the canon at that point, he was like maybe, I don't know, 80, like somewhere from maybe like 70 to 85% Carradwin or something like that. Maybe as low, maybe 60 to 85 is better to say percent of her. I feel like I'm about 3 times of her, and I'm not powered up, so I'm like, yikes. Okay, so I'm like, um, I explained to Anthem that he could probably fly now. Like once you have that spiritual awakening and you connect with that spirit power, I don't think I don't think there's anybody who connects with the spirit power who can't fly. So I take him outside and actually teach him how to fly. And he's like, hovering there. It seems all cool to him because he's never flown at all. Like Callum being able to fly at all is amongst the Legion and stuff like that is rare. Even when I was boot jet flying, boot and hand jet flying, but then the spiritual flight definitely. So um, I'm like, all right, brother, I gotta test something. I'll be back. So I go flying up into the air about like 100 stories, and I'm not sure where I put that. Let me fix that. And then I start powering up. The experience is like open up floodgates and letting power pour into my body. And it took about 40 seconds to power up. And um, I can tell as a binder, I'm trading that for that energy projection for physical power. It's like how infusion works if you're familiar with that concept. So this is all about physical. I don't even think I could project energy. Now I'm wondering if I can learn. I'm thinking probably not. I know Carradwin can project energy while she's in this state, but maybe Callum's not meant to, or maybe I have to unbind certain things. It's hard to tell. But yeah, like as it stands right now, hit hard, move fast, and the girls adore me. So um, I was trying to get an idea of where I related to the carrot wind power. Dan was saying like at this point like it's such a gulf between us. She just feels so low. It's like it's hard to say, which is crazy. Carrot wind is a cannon, man. She is a cannon. So I can sense Iroku, Nuia. These are some of the guardians who are here. Nuia is the for a reminder, Nuia is the she is the indigenous guardian of this world. Iroku is one of the I mean when I implied that he might have been a refugee, I think he kind of like laughed at that. So I don't know, like, but he's one of, let's say, the visiting guardians. Um, like I can sense things on a planetary scale, so I can sense powers all across the planet, which is crazy. Like stuff like this didn't even feel like it was possible in Unleash, but I can sense stuff all over the planet. Um, I can sense like my power feels like at this point I need to try to relate it to the Guardians, and I feel like I'm a probably like a little over half of what I sense Iroku to be, which is crazy. Fenris speaks to me. Just somehow he just speaks to me. He says, "This is Legion. You are Legion now," and it's kind of like whoa, like um, it's like whoa. I'm a Legion, like like that you respect, and I tell him that what I say to him, I said, what you started and Bellerophon carried, I'll finish it. And he says, you know, seek me out and we'll tear apart these immature things. And I tell him, if I can, I'll find you. But outside the game, I'm reluctant. He's like, I'm not sure what mental state he's in, and also there's like one of the what you call it I can't remember what they're called. The primal broods is named after him. So there's some shady stuff going on there. So I'm not just going to be going and just releasing him, but I get the idea that he's currently not in our galaxy. However, he is on his way. So I don't know if he's being held. I don't know if he's being held captive in a spaceship. I don't know. Um, like I can sense that Anthem is because I was going to go back to Anthem. I could sense that Anthem was off in the distance going through his own transformation. When we were down by the classroom, he sensed like he was probably about 3 times Carradwin. I sensed like I was 3.5 times. This is before we powered up or transformed or anything. Um, I I went to power down, and the DM was just saying it just feels like I should just stay like this. That's a little nerve wracking. We all remember Superman's speeches about feel like you've been in a world of cardboard. I don't want to be like patting people on the back. Ha ha, good one, fella, and then he explodes. So that's a little nerve wracking. But I was like, okay, so I stay like this, and I can so I can sense powers around me, and there's about 12 to 24 powers that sense me as I that are sensing me back as I'm sensing them. I offer kind of like almost like the power sensory version of like, head nods as they're sensing me. One acknowledges me back, and the second pause. That's when the DM paused me, right as he was going to explain. So that's everything. Like I said, I may do a follow up video just to explain some other pieces of lore I got, some of the things I understood about binding and some stuff about Fenris and stuff like that. But that was the session. It was an excellent session. The scope of the story and the depth of the lore in Unleashed is amazing. Thank you, DM, and I look forward to playing again.